I'd like to start by have our panelists introduce themselves and where they're from um, at the college, and so I'll let them get started. Oh, and then myself and Nikki will be asking the questions, so you'll see us kind of coming in and out of there too. So first, why don't we start with you, Chong? Have you introduce yourself?
Hey, welcome everybody. Like Jenny said, my name is Chong Mo. I'm one of the academic advisors here on campus. Like Amy said, we are here to support you from the very beginning, that you're here with us, and then all the way till when you leave us, and sometimes even after that. So welcome all of you, and hope to see you and walk with you through this journey of education.
And then let's see, let's just do every other. Let's do a student in between there. So Ashley, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Ashley Carlson. This is my second year at Inver Hills Community College. I'm studying accounting. I am the Student Senate Vice President, so I'm in charge of a lot of planning events and promote student engagement, and then also a contact for clubs to reach out and be a good connection to Student Senate. So I strongly urge you to join Senate and just go to a meeting, and there's a lot of leadership opportunity and a lot of volunteer opportunities. And then I'm also a member of Crew, and so look at all the clubs available and see what you're interested in. And that's me, so faculty member.
I can hop in next. I am Dr. Amy Zohar. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I am communication faculty and the LGBT plus club sponsor. Noah, you want to go?
Hi everyone, I'm Noah Ruse. I'm the Student Senate President. I'd like to echo what Ashley said and encourage all of you to come join us for one of our meetings. We do a lot of fantastic projects around the campus, and we have some great opportunities to, get involved. So thank you. Should I pick someone or?
Yeah, Noah, that sounds great. You go ahead.
Okay. Person on my screen is James.
Hello, my name is James Collis. I am math faculty here at Inver, teaching a lot of college algebra. I'm active in the math club and the engineering club as well. That's all.
All right. Emma?
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Emma Kirby, and I am the Communications Director for the Student Senate. I work with Ashley and Noah and our other Senate execs. I can tell you from personal experience, joining Senate has given me opportunities to grow my leadership and professional skills. It'll look good on a resume when you apply for other jobs in the future. And I just want to echo what both of them said. It's a really great opportunity to gain leadership skills, and we get to work on different projects on the campus. And it's a place where students really have a voice, and we really listen to what you have to say, because from what little I've heard, not every college or place takes the time to do that. So I really encourage you to join. Our first meeting is September 2nd from 2 to 3 p.m. I will pass it on to Josie.
Hey everyone, I'm Josie. I work over in our enrollment office, but not only that, I'm an alumni from Inver Hills. I graduated in 2019. And just to echo what everybody else has said, I was the Student Senate President, Vice President, and Communication Director for a little bit. And it was one of the highlights of my time at Inver. So I super duper recommend it. And also we have so many great resources on campus that you should definitely take use of those.
Great, super. Thank you everybody for introducing yourselves. And again, I just want to say, if you have any questions, even if you're like, maybe I don't know the answer, or maybe I'm not comfortable answering it, maybe just ask it, because I bet a lot of other people have the question too. So if you have a question, make sure you please type it in the chat and we can get them answered for you. So just to kind of start us off though, so we already have some questions that we kind of typically get asked for students, and or just in panels. And so one of the questions that we hear a lot is, can I work and go to school at the same time? How much can I work? Slash, how many credits should I take if I do work?
I can start. I work and go to school. I am taking 16 credits and I also work part-time. And it's just getting down a schedule that's really important. But it definitely is possible. And yeah, just have a schedule and stick to it and you can do it.
I think the old guideline is at 3 hours per credit that you should expect to study outside of your scheduled, synchronous class meetings if you have any. So if you're taking, 12 credits, take into account that for each one of those, that's, should be about a 3-hour commitment every week. And that's a good way to judge your time. I know a lot of people need to work during the semester. I myself am one of them, but really making sure that you're able to balance that schedule and using that 3 hours per credit is a helpful measure of that.
I also work during school. I started last year, my second year at Inver. I have 2 different part-time work study positions on campus. Work study is a type of part-time job you can do on campus as a student employer. You have to meet certain criteria for that. And it works out for me. I make my own schedule. Sometimes for me personally, because I am taking asynchronous classes, the schedule differs. It differentiates week by week for me. But as long as you're able to find the time to keep up with work, get the hours in that you want, and also get your classes done at the pace you can handle, that's what's important. I know that for me, I have to take school at a slower pace. I'm taking 3 years to finish, and that's because I wanted to have the experience of balancing work and school. So if you need to take that at a slower pace, if you need more than 2 years to finish your AA degree, that's okay. And if you need help like balancing your schedule, I've gotten help from Brandy. I get help from her from Accessibility, and I also get help from TRIO, which I'm a part of. So there are plenty of resources you can go to get help for that.
The student center is making my life easy already. But yes, like what they said, you want to make sure you can balance everything. If you are going to be working full-time, please try not to take full-time classes. That's 2 full-time jobs on top of each other. So try to balance that. And then if you ever need help trying to, get all of that in order before the semester starts or during the semester, feel free to come to counseling and advising. And TRIO too, if you're part of TRIO, the advisors can sit down with you. We can take a look at what's going on, things that you have to be responsible for. And, hopefully we can build a good weekly schedule for you where you can say, oh, okay, these are my classes. These are my study times. These are my free times to keep myself sane. So yeah, definitely.
I want to echo that about reaching out to counseling and advising. I think I've had students working more hours than I thought was possible that did amazing in the class, just like something I could never do. And then I've had students struggle with a smaller number of hours, and so much of it depends on what your job is, what your process is, which classes you have, how much of your job comes home with you, how draining it is, and all of that in a one-on-one conversation, you can get a better idea of what counselors and advisors especially have seen work for students, rather than just this many hours of a generic job will work.
And I would add on top of that to stay in communication with your faculty as well. If you're feeling really overwhelmed, reach out to us. Not all of us can make the accommodations that are necessary, but most of us can. So reach out to the faculty and just be like, hey, I'm really overworked right now. What can we, can you help me with this? We really work hard to be as student-centered as possible. And my other quick point and tip, I go, now you're about to figure out how old I am. Get a planner where you write it down and you can keep track and you can look at it. Or I actually put all my due dates when I was in school in a calendar in my bathroom. So when I was brushing my teeth in the morning, I'm like, oh, I probably should have started that assignment by now. So that I would know what was going on. But being able to see those deadlines and keeping up with them will also really help to kind of help you feel balanced. So you know what weeks to take maybe some less shifts, or what weeks to you can kind of relax a little bit in the study side.
Thanks. Okay, you guys, we have several questions that have been asked about books, and I think that we will have to kind of piecemeal this together between us, but I do think that we can cover really what to do if you are looking for help with your books, what you're looking for help with ebooks, and specifically information for PSEO students as well. The first question I'm just going to quickly ask is, I ordered the bookstore, the ebook for the bookstore for an online class. How do I get access to it? Do I have to wait until to access it until the start of classes on Monday? Thank you so much for your help. So if you guys could give us like pointers on those ebooks and specifically those questions as well.
I officially do not know the answer to that question.
Oh, fair enough. Oh, okay, sorry.
So, I mean, I would say that the bookstore is really good about being responsive to student questions. So I would email the bookstore or go to the website and get the phone number and give them a call and ask. You should get an email confirmation for the book, and that's usually how you link. If it's a book for a class, if it's in the if it's the direct digital that was mentioned earlier by Matt, if it's one of those, you have to wait till the D2L course shell is open and the class officially starts, which is Monday for all classes, no matter what the official date start is. All classes open Monday morning. And if you are in a course that has the direct digital book and you don't want that, you can opt out and get a copy elsewhere. So just something to note, if you are in a course that has that direct digital and you need a hard copy because of, for whatever reason, you can get those. But I would absolutely reach out to the bookstore. They will be able to answer a lot of these questions, and they're really responsive and really quick to get back to students. So if they don't answer immediately, they will get back to you really quickly. And I think the bookstore is open today in person, isn't it? So if you wanted to go tootle around campus, you could actually go to the bookstore today and like in person if you wanted to as well.
And I know for math classes and I think other technical classes that's true as well, but be careful if you opt out. Often that ebook also has an electronic homework component that if you opt out of, you can't do the homework, which of course is bad. You can still opt out if you have like access to the course due to having taken it a previous semester or something like that. So there are situations where that can happen.
One other thing I was going to mention, sorry, I'm not an official panelist, but when I was asking this question, for some reason, I just thought this might be not knowledge everyone has, but maybe not everyone has failed a technical course before. Some ebooks can be really expensive, and when I was taking my bachelor's, I found that some of them have very limited time that you have access to them too. So when I needed to retake a course, I actually needed to take it immediately the next semester in order to reuse that that resource. And so one of the things I think is important is that depending on what your course is, depending on what your book is, depending on who your faculty is, like your book and ebook stuff could be different. So if you have questions, like Amy said, the bookstore is great and your faculty are going to have pointers and tips too, right? I knew I needed to retake right away because my faculty let me know, like, you're going to have to pay another $110 for an online code if you don't. So with that, I will, does anybody have anything else to say about books? Here's the thing about books. They can get expensive and there's lots of places to buy them. I think our students and alumni on the panel probably have helpful information, but I don't want to put them on the spot.
I saw that there were some questions about rentals. Not all books have rental options, but there are some. It'll let you know when you go to check out with your textbook. If you do it online, it'll say, do you want it new, used, rental, rent new, rent used. So if you see that there, you can rent your book. Otherwise, I always really liked going into the bookstore personally because I'm super picky and I don't want to use book that's been like highlighted all over and stuff like that. Plus, it's a great reason to come onto campus and kind of check things out.
Yeah, and I was recently in the bookstore to get a book that I wanted to buy from my course because I figured it would be useful. It was Tools for Writers book, and I picked a used book off the shelf that was basically in brand new condition, and it was the used price of like half or maybe even a quarter as much. So I do also would like to say it's a good idea to go in because you're going to get, you know, basically the same thing you can find for the used price. That being said too, you know, Nikki, you mentioned tips for getting affordable textbooks. Yeah, it's absolutely true that textbooks are frankly I feel like they're the most unreasonable expense that we're asked to cover. So, you know, one of the tricks that I have is, you know, our bookstore is great, and I haven't found this too often with ours, but you may also be able to like look up the book and find it someplace on Amazon used as well, or even new for cheaper. And you know, like I said, I haven't seen this as much the case with Inver, but it's always worth looking at as well. That's my little tip for you.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. So I see we're getting a few questions about student IDs and how to access them, where to get them, and everything like that. So does anybody want to start us off with that?
Yeah, so IDs are an enrollment thing. I was waiting to get through the books to talk about that. So if you go to, and I'll put it in the chat, if you go to the enrollment website, there's a place for you to schedule an ID appointment. It takes roughly about 5 minutes. And PSEO students do get IDs as well, because I know that was one of the questions. So I'll go ahead and put the link for that in the chat, and then you can go on there and schedule an appointment to get your ID. And I am going to mention the first one is free. If you lose it, then it's a $5 fee. So keep it in a safe spot.
And I'm going to jump on really quickly and also say that if you do not go by the name that you have enrolled with, you can change that, and you can get the ID with the name that you use, not the name that we call it a dead name in the LGBTQ community. You can actually get the ID to represent the name you would like it to have. Just check in with the admissions people, and they'll give you the quick tip on how to get all that done.
I will say too, personally, I've had that. No, I'm also not a panelist, but I've had that. I've had my name changed too. So they were awesome about it. Super easy and quick.
I was just going to say, when you do take your photo ID, please smile. It's not the DMV, okay? So.
Can I answer a question that's non-textbook related?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a question in the Q&A. What would you recommend to help balance work, personal, and college life, especially if it's a week-by-week basis because your work schedule is different? So I'm not sure about this, but it might be because of my comment about the work and school thing. So basically, my work study schedule is pretty flexible. I work for Jenny and Shannon, and so I just do the work when I can. Like, I'm given due dates on like when to like send out certain emails or do certain projects, but the amount of time I need to get it done, or like how much ahead I want to be on my work, that's my choice. I have ADHD, so it takes me longer to get through schoolwork and certain work projects. So for me, like Dr. Zohar said before, I use a planner. I prefer a big one so I can really write stuff out. So I just write down like the things that are the work things and the school things that are due each day. And then by week, I figure out like how much work I need to, or I want to get done. And then I figure out like how much time I will need to work on different school subjects and assignments. And I can sense about myself like how much time I will need and at what time of the day I need to get it done. So I don't like to complete a schedule that I follow for the whole semester. Like every Mondays I do stats and every Tuesdays I do this other class. That doesn't work for me because like some Mondays I cannot do stats, but I can do world history, whereas Tuesdays I cannot do world history, but I can do stats. So that works for me. But if you're somebody who needs to have like a schedule, you can do certain classes on Mondays or Wednesdays, do that. It's something you kind of have to figure out as you go along. That was my personal experience. Yeah, just make sure you write down the due dates in a planner, whatever strategy you use. Hopefully that helps.
And if I may just add a quick response to that, there's a technique I use called Spaceship U. That's also the name of the YouTube video that I learned about it from. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to informational YouTube videos like that. But basically the idea is that you should have separate areas of your house or wherever it is. And what that helps is that it frames your brain that when I'm in this space, I am doing leisure. When I'm in this space, I am doing work. And that can help segment not only can that help your work-life balance, but it can help your brain work better at doing those things when you're doing it in that space. So actually you can see my room behind me, my couch right there, that's my leisure spot, right? So that's where I can watch TV, it's right there. My video games over there, right? Here I have my computer where I work, where I study. Over there is my dining room table, that's where I eat. And behind me is where I sleep. Sounds kind of silly, but it's really worked well, actually. And I strongly recommend, having these segmentations because it just helps separate and then also be efficient when you're doing something. You don't want to be trying to study in the area where your brain associates you trying to relax, right? So that's a good strategy as well.
And I want to quickly jump in and give a plug for our counseling department. You met them early, heard a little about them earlier. If you're feeling overwhelmed, they are incredible. They are licensed counselors. You can set up an appointment and meet with them. If you find somebody you really connect with, they can meet with you fairly regularly. Like they'll work with you on this as well. So if you're really struggling and you don't have access to Randy, if you're not on, if you don't have the accessibility services accommodations, if you don't, we have we have phenomenal tutors as well who will help you with things in our tutoring center. We also have incredible counselors and advisors who will work with you. And if you go into your advising appointment with, I work full time, I have a family, and I want to sign up for classes, they're going to tell you and work through with you to make sure that the classes you're taking you can manage and handle with your schedule. So just really lean onto the resources that we have on campus. And again, stay in communication with us, the faculty, if you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed out. We can't always accommodate everything, but don't just assume we won't accommodate anything. So talk to us as well.
There's so much good advice. I think I have ADHD as well. And I think it really helped me to do some of that physical structuring, but then also especially remote, like I have a browser that I'll go to fun websites in, and then I have a browser I'll use for work. And I have like the websites, because I'll just find myself on like The Onion or something, like just like websites that are not helpful and they're distracting, or like election results. And so I just block those websites like I'm a child, and it's great. And I go to them, and then there's like it goes to this wallpaper that's like, don't do this. And like you can set up these other structures just to kind of help because I found that as work kept getting more difficult, you don't have more time, so you have to like start extracting efficiency from yourself, which is a journey.
Something that I used to do, I would put my phone. So like this is the room that I do my work and schoolwork in. I would put my phone in a completely separate room. Because those are the times where I did not need my phone. And if I needed to have my phone nearby because I needed to look out for messages from school or work or family, I would put my phone in one of my desk drawers, and that would signal to me, okay, it's there when it vibrates, but it's not there where I can reach it as easily. And also, if you're like me, you're really fidgety, I use a stress ball or a fidget cube. Yeah, it helps me concentrate. Also, listening to classical music helps on certain work-related stuff. Just a thought.
One other thing that I wanted to say about balancing everything. So when I started at Inver Hills, I had a 7-month-old son. I'm currently still in school working on my master's, and so now he's 5. And so for any of you students who are also playing that parent role and you're trying to figure out how to work and do school and be a parent and it's all super overwhelming, use your counseling center. But also, something that really works for me is on the very first day of classes, I take a piece of paper and I write all of my assignments down in order of when they're due. So I'm constantly staring at that. And then I always plan free time. I'm not cleaning, I'm not doing laundry, homework, any of that. And so for this last semester, I chose for it to be the entire weekend. So both Saturday and Sunday, I was just completely dedicated to spending time with my fiance and our son and family. And so making sure that you're finding that time to recharge and take care of yourself and have those self-care moments are gonna go a long way when you're trying to focus on school and work and all that other stuff that drains you like that.
Another piece of advice that this has been given to me for several years throughout my life, but something that I'm definitely going to take more seriously now because I've had way too many fail moments at not doing this: transition time. So like if I do, let's say 2 hours of statistics homework, I will put that stuff away and then I'm going to take like 10 or 15 minutes to just give myself a mental break. And then I'll go to like whatever task is next I have to do, whether it's like doing laundry or helping cook dinner or doing work study related work.
Great. Thank you so much, everybody. I think these are all really good tips, and we've been hearing good feedback in the chat saying that these are really good, even from our staff too. So I have a question for mostly a lot of the students, I believe. So can a PSEO student take part in organizations or clubs like Senate, or are there limitations?
Yes, because when I was in Senate, I think it was definitely part of spring 2020, part of fall 2019, I think, there was a 16-year-old student who was PSEO and she was the Senate president. So I think that corrected. Yeah, definitely.
One thing I can tell all of you is that, and I forgot to mention this, I also lead the Asian Culture Club here on campus. One thing I can tell all of you is that we don't know you're a PSEO until you tell us you're a PSEO. So, you know, I had presidents who were PSEO students, and I had no idea until the school year was done. And they're like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm going to be graduating from high school. I'm like, what? I didn't even know that. So all of you are welcome. We would love to see all of you join the clubs and anything that's happening on campus.
Yes, please join. It also gives you a head start in meeting people at Inver and all the resources that you can use when you join or when you actually become a full-on college student. and yeah, just getting to know all the people that you'll be working with every day.
Thanks, you guys. So I really enjoyed the information you guys had about tips for dealing with like work-life balance and creating structure. And this might be a shorter session, or a shorter question, but one of the things that I think might be really helpful as we're all going into a lot of online and hybrid courses is, do you have any tips or tricks for working within Zoom? Like how to be a better student, how to connect with people. What do we need to know about Zoom?
As somebody on the faculty side of things, I'll kick this off on the faculty side. We love seeing y'all's faces, but we also understand that it's a weird space. Like, you're not used to being a student where everybody can see your faces. Usually people see the sides and backs of your head. So I understand that there's a lot, and plus not everybody has the ability to turn their cameras on. So we all accommodate what we can when it comes to cameras, but unmute yourself and answer questions. One of the things that, especially I teach communication classes, and one of the hardest parts is when I ask a question about your lived experience and there's crickets. Like, it's really can be frustrating. So engage with each other. Also use that chat function. Don't be afraid of the chat function. Most of us are kind of watching it as we go. We can't always answer in live moments because we're doing something else if the question's unrelated to what we're talking about, but use that chat function as well. But also realize with Zoom, if at the end of the semester you want a letter of recommendation for a scholarship and you never turned on your camera and you never unmuted yourself and you really didn't engage much in the chat, we don't know how to write a letter for you, because all we know is the work you turned in. So it really does benefit you to get engaged with each other. And when you get in breakout rooms, don't be that person who sits in complete silence with the camera off in the breakout room. It's always like tedious, but also don't just log into Zoom and walk away, because you never know when breakout rooms are going to happen. And we are aware of when you don't go to your breakout room. So just kind of be aware of the fact that it's hard. Zoom is hard for all of us. This is not the way most of us want it to be in education, but also embrace the fact that this is a really cool opportunity and a really fun way of learning. A lot of businesses are going to this model. So the more you can learn now on how to use the tools and play a little bit in Zoom and be more present, the easier it's going to be as you go forward. So I mean, set the boundaries you have. I would say once every 4 class, have your camera on if you can. Just kind of set up a rotation where, you turn it on every once in a while to get used to that feel and that vibe. You can also mute your video so you don't see it, but the rest of the class does. So if you have an issue looking at yourself, you can mute it to where where you don't see yourself, everybody else does. And that might help as well too.
How do you mute yourself? I've never heard of that.
Oh, it's in the, actually Nikki taught me how to do it. If you click on the 3 little dots in the top of your picture, one of the ones is to hide self-view. So you click on those 3 little dots, excuse me, in the top right-hand corner of your picture.
I found it.
And click hide self-view. Then you can't see, they can't see that. Also, really quickly, you can add pronouns to permanently show up. You have a MnState Zoom account that is yours. It is free to you. You can log in and use the MnState Zoom account from study sessions with your colleagues and whatever. So all that's available as well. And in there, you can set it up to where your pronouns permanently show, and you can set up with the display name you want it to show all the time as well. So if you do have that, the name that's registered with is not the name you go by, you can change all that so you don't have to worry about changing it every class meeting.
I just hid myself view. How do I undo that?
Same thing, Emma. You click on the little dots and you can bring it back.
They're at the top now, though.
On the side where it says view on the top right-hand corner.
I can't find it.
No, in the top right-hand corner of the entire screen, right under the little X to close the Zoom. There you can unhide self-view.
I learned something new today.
And I was just to say that I will have to second that using the chat function. for me, I'm a type of person who don't like to interject much, and I don't know when to actually do it. So I like to just put it in chat, and then, your professors are pretty good at monitoring chat. So they will then, answer that question.
And I think chat, and then also the emotes, like just like a happy face emote, because we are on the faculty side, when you're just looking at 16 gray boxes with names that I don't associate with people because I haven't met you, it's like just even like a happy face sometimes is great. Also, you can put a picture up, and then you don't have to have your camera on. Like maybe you're feeling terrible, but you've got this picture, and then that's like something for me to associate. I have a hard time with names, but then I start to have more of a concept of who you are. And even I've had students put up a picture that's not of their face. It's just a picture, like someone put up a picture of a duck, and that was still something for me to like anchor this coursework and these comments in these chat comments and things into like an identity that's associated with an image, that really is helpful for me as a teacher. And I think it's one of those things where like me having a better concept of who you are will help you in the course, just because I know you more.
And I do want to add really quickly, if you break campus policy over Zoom camera, we do have to report it, even if you're in your home, because you are on the class Zoom. So just something to think about from previous experience. If you break campus policy over Zoom, we have to report it. So don't do that.
Okay, awesome. So we have, I'm so sorry. We have just a few more minutes left, and I want to let everybody go around and give us your last piece of advice in like a sentence or two, and then we'll finish out, and Jenny will just do one more reminder about the scavenger hunt and how to access it. Right after this, we'll have a 10-minute break, and then we will see you guys all at the virtual fair. A lot of our folks will be here, and that's a great time. We'll be in meeting format, so you'll be able to have your screen on and ask questions and find out more about clubs and orgs. And so honestly, as you're giving your last little bit of advice before we close out, we have one question from Blessing, which says, how do I sign up for clubs and orgs? Are they open at the moment? Yes, they are, and I'm positive that several of our students are already going to mention that, but and staff and faculty, but I thought I'd prompt them to give pointers on that as well. Sorry, that was a weird way to say that. But so anyway, last bits of advice, sentence or two from each of you, and just for ease, if you would be willing to pick the next person that was going after you, I would love that. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get us started with who has to be in the spotlight? Amy. She's always great when I put her on the spot.
Absolutely. Couple of quick things. One, your faculty have these things called office hours. Office hours are basically time when we're either on Zoom, on Teams, which you'll get information about that, or in our actual offices on campus. You can show up, pop in and out. You can make reservations on Starfish to come in and see us. It's a time to ask questions, get some connection with your faculty, and you control how long that meeting lasts. So by all means, use those. Don't be intimidated by them. They are very much so available for us, for you, I mean, to kind of get those connections. Second thing, use every resource on campus that you hear about today and that you find on the website. All of them are valuable. 3, read your syllabi. Whew. Read those syllabi. And 4, join a club. That's it. I'm going to throw it over to Emma.
Thanks, Dr. Z. So use a planner. For me, that's really helpful. It's really satisfying to write it down and then like cross it off once it's done. Use something to help you keep track, even if you just set reminders on your phone or something. And also figure out a schedule and a pace that works for you. Also, if you feel you need extra supports, please check out Trio. I am a part of it, and I'm so glad I am. I would not be as successful in college as I am if it were not for Trio. And also go to Randy. She is fantastic. I will popcorn it to Ashley.
Okay, so all these things are being thrown at you and how to be productive, but still prioritize your personal life. If you don't do that, you will feel burnt out, and that's never a good place to be. So definitely take time for yourself, do whatever makes you happy each day, and join a club and join Senate. And I'll move it over to Josie.
So I would suggest that you get involved in campus and use your resources. Being involved in campus is one of the best things you can do. I met my lifelong best friend there, and I finally figured out what to do with my life, which is kind of a scary thing to pick. So good luck, everybody, and welcome to Inver. Sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and pick James.
Hey, yeah, I think as a student, my number one revelation was realizing that the time I was taking for myself was not chilling me out at all. I would get stressed out doing homework and then play Street Fighter 4 online and then get more stressed out and then be like, okay, well, I'm refreshed from my break. Time for more studying. So like, be reflective, be mindful, think about how your brain is working, think about how you're feeling physically, think about how you're existing in the space that you're in. And all of that is going to help you unlock your potential and like ways to make yourself more efficient. Chong.
All right, as an advisor, I would like to two things. Number one, you're not in this journey alone. You're not in this journey alone. We are all here to help support you through this educational journey that you want to go through. So utilize all the resources that are available in counseling and advising. We would love to see you at least once a semester. At least, okay, once a semester. You can come in every day if you want, but at least once a semester, because we want to check in, see how things are going. And we also want to make sure that you are prepared for the next semester. And then the second thing is definitely get involved. Get involved. You're going to get a lot of benefits from it, so get involved. And then let's see, who is still here? Noah?
Yes, and I think I'm the last person. I'd like to thank everyone for being able to make it to this, and I look forward to seeing you as students or faculty or staff around campus, and I hope also to see you in Student Senate and for a good semester.